Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports.
Let's move on to the Detroit Lions. So last year they finished 13, I believe. Let's see here. I just want to double check, make sure I'm right here. 13. Oh, that's right. 3-13-1. So they had that tie. I forgot about that. Free agency, they added DJ Charks. I think that was the best free agent kind of as a flyer. And then they lost Trey Flowers, which is not a big loss because if anybody has watched the Lions, Trey Flowers wasn't worth the contract he was getting. In the draft, they added Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams with the 12th pick, and then Joshua Pascal, another defensive lineman who I guess has a lot of upside is what I heard. A lot of people really like that pick. So anyway, right now, what do you have for the Lions? Stock up, stock down, or stock hold?
I guess it's a stock up. And a little sad for me, but that's a different reason. I love what the Lions did in the draft. I love what they did in the offseason. I think they're going to be better. I hate Jared Goff. I actually like Jamison Williams that pick for the receiver because it sounds like he might be even ready by camp, which that really surprised me. And I love that Hutchinson not fell, the second overall pick. That's a fall, but I love that they grabbed Hutchinson. And I love that they improved their defensive line. Remember, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, but when me and you were talking about our draft strategy, it was like you build from the line, the lines, and we didn't have them grab Jamison Williams, granted, but we did have them grab Hutchinson, and then they grabbed Joshua Pascal, which is from everything I read, is a pretty solid defense, should be a pretty good interior lineman, and it's just like, okay, you're doing exactly what you need to do. They had decent cornerbacks, now they're adding rushers, and now they're adding a true number one receiver who's supposed to be a very, I think before his injury, it was supposed to be like a top 5 pick, if I remember correctly, or top 7 pick. He was supposed to be really talented. And then I hear he's going to be ready by camp. And so the concern of him not being ready for the regular season is sounds like it's going away. And it's like that they made a lot of improvement. The issue is their improvement was made everywhere, but at the quarterback position. And I don't think there's a future with Goff at quarterback. And I look behind Goff and I don't see anyone with a future at quarterback there. So my concern is that the stock went up. They're going to do better, but I'm worried about the future with them because I don't think Goff is the answer at quarterback. And maybe he'll surprise me, but I highly doubt it. I love what the coaching staff is in Detroit. I just don't. I love what they did outside of the QB, so it's a stock up. But to me, it's a little sad just because I would have loved them to change out their QB with a million others. Well, not a million others, obviously, but
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the it's funny because here on NFL.com they have the grade for the Lions draft like an A-. And I feel like if they would have in the 3rd round drafted like Malik Willis, they might have been A+ because, hey, you have somebody. I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth, though. I'm going to say also, if you don't trust that he's going to be your guy, like, don't draft him. Like, there is that part of it, too. I do think, though, there's sort of a risk reward factor where at some point you got to be like, well, let's just take the opportunity to, right? Like there's that part of it. You're right. I feel like their offensive defensive line is pretty set. They're going to be because Romeo Okora, right? I believe that's their edge rusher that got injured last year at the beginning of the season. So he's going to be healthy. And then you're adding Hutchinson. Williams, you're right that everything I read, he'll be ready in camp. And you're also right in the fact that he was supposed to be the best wide receiver until he got injured. So he would have been the first receiver off the board. I think no problem if he didn't get injured, but he did get injured. The Lions grabbed him. And I think you're right with the stock up. I'm with you there. They're kind of almost too good not to win more than 3 games next year. So the roster is built real nice around Jared Goff. So he'll win 6 games probably. What you kind of have to hope if you're the Lions fan is that whoever gets a top 3 pick next year, let's say if it's the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chicago Bears and, another team that kind of has a young quarterback already, that you have 2 first-round picks next year. And if you have a top 10 pick and the, let's say 30th pick, maybe, and a future first-round pick, if you trade those 3, you might be able to move up into the top 3 to get a quarterback. So that's where the silver lining is. But I am with you. I wish they would have went a little bit in on quarterback just to get somebody that, like a Malik Willis. But with that being said, I thought their offseason overall was really, really solid. I like their receiving core a lot now. And it means that they're probably going to be good enough to finish 3rd or even 2nd in this division. I think they're going to be a really good bad team or bad good team, if that makes sense. There's like those teams that like just win games, the good bad team or the bad good team. They're going to surprise people this year with the amount of wins they have.
Yeah, and I mean, if they got, I love what the Lions are doing. I thought they were. I mean, sadly, in this draft, there was not a quarterback. I don't think that's really was worth taking. But they were in a perfect position in this draft to draft a quarterback, but there just wasn't one that they must have liked at any availability. I would have loved for them to take Malik Willis in the 3rd round, just because I feel like we know. I feel like we know what Jared Goff is, and I'm not saying Goff is a terrible quarterback. It just I view him as a slightly worse Kirk Cousins. So, and I don't like Kirk Cousins. Again, it's not that these guys are bad quarterbacks. I want people to know that. I don't think they're terrible quarterbacks. It's just that I just don't think that they're the ones that are going to get you to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, there is a lot of talent on Detroit now, and if they can get, maybe they'll surprise me. But like, I don't want them playing themselves out of a top 10 pick, because that's the only way they can move to like maybe the 2nd spot in the draft, or maybe the 1st. I get it, they have draft capital, but there's a lot of other teams with a lot of draft capital, because I feel like teams are wising up and realizing when they have a shot at getting a Super Bowl, they're trading their draft capital for players and to make big moves now. So I feel like there's a lot of teams with draft capital, and then there's a lot of teams that don't, but the ones that don't are competing for Super Bowls, and then they're going to have problems in like 5 years, but they're trying to hit that window. So I feel like there's other teams that's going to have draft capital that might get their answer at the quarterback position, that that they might realize they don't like who they have at quarterback. And then they like, okay, well, I have 2 better picks than the Lions, and the Lions are being like, well, I could try. So It's like, what are you willing to give up?
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's interesting though. I noticed too, like with the quarterbacks that have the teams that have quarterbacks on rookie contracts, they're more willing to make big moves, because it's like, that's the best time to do it when you're paying your quarterback like 15 million a year instead of 40 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Because once that contract comes up, that's harder to do. It's been one of my biggest criticism of the Green Bay Packers is not trading more capital for draft capital for actual players are good. It's, but with the Lions, it'll be interesting to see next year what they're willing to trade, if anything, to move up in the draft. Because I was just looking at this. So the Commanders and the Seahawks both had 7 wins. And I think they both picked, I think the Seahawks were the 10th pick overall. So if they can like win 7 games, they'll probably pick somewhere between the 9 and 13 range. That's a high enough draft pick where you could couple that with a couple other draft picks to move up into like pick number 2 or whatever, for whatever quarterback could be big next year.
And that would be like a dream scenario for like Jacksonville, because I mean, I'm not predicting the schedule or anything like that. But like, they have their answer at quarterback. They need answer at every other position. So a team like that would want that, where even if it's adding mid-round picks, but like, some people may look at me like I'm drunk, but if I were the Lions and I would offer my whole draft board to move up to the number 2 or 1 overall pick next year to get that quarterback, because I just don't think they need a ton. And they do need some more help, and I get that you don't want to do that, but if you can get that quarterback, if you really don't believe in Goff, and maybe they believe in Goff, and I'm just seeing they're seeing different stuff than I am, but and that's fine because they get paid to do this. I sit at home on a couch or chair currently, it's just one of those things where it's like I would love for them to get a quarterback, but I just don't I'm just scared that they're going to be too good to put themselves in the. I feel like you need to still be in the top 10 in order to trade to like the number 2 overall pick without giving up everything that you can, or giving out an insane amount of stuff. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But we both have them this year stock up, so we'll see how it goes. I think they're moving in the right direction. They have a lot of